Tyler Shough going to the New Orleans Saints in the top 40 was a pick that I knew was going to happen, even though I think it's not a great idea. And I wrote about this at athlonsports.com. I wrote an entire article about the worst possible decision you can make on draft weekend for your football team is to draft a quarterback in the second round. Because if you go back and look at the last 20 years of drafting, I think there's been 24 quarterbacks selected in the second round, and Jalen Hurts is really the only one who has hit in any type of way. I think after that you get guys like Derek Carr and Andy Dalton. So you've got, some guys that have some starting experience, have had some success, but nobody that I think you would consider a star quarterback outside of Jalen Hurts. And so Tyler Shough is a guy that's interesting because usually if you're not taking a guy in the first round, you're taking a guy in the second round at quarterback, it's some sort of massive swing on upside and traits. Whether you can look back at some of the failed picks, the Christian Hackenbergs and those types of guys where, even Pat White coming out of West Virginia, where there was some athleticism and versatility, and you're thinking we can do something special here. Usually that's the type of guy. Tyler Shough, it's the opposite. You're getting a guy who's going to be a 26-year-old rookie who's missed multiple seasons with serious injuries. You're getting an older, more mature guy. Normally you would think more experience, but not a ton more experience because, again, he missed a lot of those seasons with injury, so he wasn't actually playing all that time. And so when you look at the Saints, you've got Derek Carr, who's injured, and I don't know if he'll ever be a starting quarterback again. Even when he was healthy, he was a guy that I don't think was much of a solution there for them. You've got Spencer Rattler, who was a fifth-round pick last year. Showed some flashes of the talent that made him a highly touted recruit coming out of high school, but nothing that I think would dissuade them, obviously, from spending a top 40 pick on a quarterback, which they did in this draft. And so with Tyler Shough, you're going to have to prove, A, that you can stay healthy, B, that you have the physical tools to beat out everybody else on that depth chart and prove you're the guy. And I don't know if spending that pick on a quarterback, again, go back and look at some of the first round picks we've seen. We saw Brandon Weeden, as an older quarterback in the first round. We saw Chris Winkie, I think was a third round pick as an older player who had played baseball earlier in his professional career. And so with Tyler Shough, I think that's just the interesting thing that both of these guys, him and Will Howard, land in depth charts where it's the best place to be if you want an opportunity to start. I just don't know if the upside with Tyler Shough, is he going to end up being closer to that, Jimmy Garoppolo and again Andy Dalton and those types of guys in terms of a second round quarterback, or is he going to just be one of the many second round quarterbacks we've seen over the last 20 years who just wasn't worth a first round pick and therefore shouldn't have been a second round pick either, because you could have got, the Saints had so many other needs, right? So many needs on both sides of the ball. They went left tackle in the first round with Kelvin Banks Jr. And then after that, they still had so many needs on defense, and they spend a top 40 pick on a quarterback who's going to be 26 years old as a rookie, has a long injury history. I just feel like they're going to end up regretting that pick. And if he's going to be the guy, he's going to have to do it quickly because, again, he's going to be 30 years old before he signs a second contract.